Now we'll begin looking at the View menu. First we'll look at Maximize Width, and we'll also look at the Toolbars selection. Toolbars are really powerful within SoundForge, and there's a lot of customization you can do. We'll take a look at that right now. The first selection under the View menu is Maximize Width. Now, why would you want to use that? Why would it even be there? Well, let's say if I've got a whole bunch of files open here on my computer, and I've got them, because of size limitations, and screen resolution, I've got them sized down, and I've got them side by side or whatever. And as you can see in this one right here, I'm zoomed into a certain level whereby I can't see the entire file all at once. If I need to do that quickly, if I need to see it all really quickly, I can just hit Maximize Width, and it will just maximize the open window, the current file that I'm working with. It'll maximize its width to the maximum width that I have available to me in my workspace here. And obviously that's dependent on the resolution of my monitor and a lot of other factors, but it's a quick way to jump up and see an entire file or a larger section of a file, especially if you've got something fairly long that you're working with. Next item down here on the View menu is the toolbars. And the toolbars are obviously, these are all the tools in the toolbars that are currently up here at the top of the program right now. If we go in here and we launch this section, we're presented with a tab, and this is part of the Preferences dialog box. However, we'll get into the Preferences and all the other tabs that are in here later on. But because the toolbars is here under the View menu, let's take a look at it now. Right now, what's open up here on the top of the program is the Standard and the Transport toolbars. We have a lot of other toolbars available to us: navigation, views, status, etc., etc. Let's take a look at navigation, for example. If I select it here, and then I come down and hit Apply, then if I go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and close this now, voila, there is my navigation toolbar. My navigation toolbar now gives me zoom and zoom normal and zoom on a selection and a couple of preset zooms. Also gives me the ability to insert markers and set mark in points and mark out points. Pulls up the go-to dialog box, so you can enter in a time code or hours, minutes, and seconds. Also allows you to move the cursor to the beginning of a selection, the end of a selection. Gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of navigation. Now, I can have this and many other toolbars, as you saw back there in that dialog box. I can have them anywhere in my window. They're free floating, as long as I grab onto the blue bar, just like in most all Windows applications. But I can also dock it as well too. You can dock it, and I can also, in many cases, resize them. In this case, I'm going to take it up here, and as you can see, as it gets over the top of the toolbar here, it actually kind of changes size and slots right in there. It's got a separator in between here to kind of separate these functions from the rest of these functions here. I can move it to a different section of the toolbar by just dragging on the handle here, or I can pull it back down and take it out of the toolbar completely. So it gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of doing that with whatever custom toolbars you want to put on there. Now additionally, you can also customize the toolbars even further. And let's, for example, let's take the Levels tool here, which doesn't have much in it. Let me hit the Apply button and show you what we've got. And we've got the levels here, so that if I hit play, it actually is giving me numeric readouts of what's in my levels. And it can give it to me at any particular point in my timeline where I put the cursor. Just a quick test showing how you can see how those levels are changing dynamically. But what if I wanted to have other functions on this menu? Well, let's go ahead and close it for a second. Let's go back up to Toolbars, open it up, and let's select Levels, and we'll go ahead and apply it. And then we'll come back and we'll highlight it again, and so we can see that it's out here on the desktop. There it is. And then let's hit Customize. Now when I get the Customize toolbar, it gives me literally everything that is available to be on a toolbar within SoundForge. Right now it's got its default settings for the level toolbar, but I can add whatever I really want to it. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a couple of other functions, maybe 3 or 4. Let's go ahead and add in a DC offset. Now, it could take me a while to find it here in the old list. I mean, they're arranged kind of in groups of, like, for example, you can see, oh, here's all the transport stuff is together. If I know what the function is I'm looking for and I know what letter it begins with, if I just kind of select anything in here and highlight one of the choices here in the available tools, and then I hit the first letter of what I'm looking for. In this case, I'm looking for DC offset, and I hit the D button on my keyboard. Well, it takes me to double selection, but I keep hitting the D and get delete, and there you go, DC offset. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to my current tools. Let's see, what else do I want to have? How about if I do paragraphic EQ? Let's look under the P's, properties, paragraphic EQ. There we go. We'll add that on. How about graphic dynamics? Let's see, that's going to be a G. So here, graphic EQ, graphic fade, graphic dynamics. There we go. And how about normalize? Let's hit the old N key, noise gate. Normalize and graphic fade. Nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. New, no. There it is. Normalize. Add that. Let's go ahead and add one more function. But I'm also going to add in a separator to kind of separate it because it's going to be different. What I'm going to add in is I want to add in a save as. So I'm going to go ahead and collect the save as, add it in. I'm also going to add in a separator. Now, I can rearrange these. I'd like all these four to be together, and I'd like the save as to be last with a separator in between it. So I can go ahead and move this all the way down to the bottom, just like that. And I can take my separator and move it down all the way to right there. Now if I say OK, and I say OK, voila, here we are with our new levels menu, which has the normalize, the graphic dynamics, paragraphic, DC offset, and you notice there's a separator and the save as. Now I can change the size of this. I can rearrange it. So if I want it to be, this shape, it works better for me, or I can drag it down here and put the levels down below it like that. It's whatever, works best for what I've got on the screen. Again, I can also drag this back up here, and again, it'll just slot right in up here above in the menu bar. I can move it to another location as well too. Or drag it on down here inside of my workspace. As long as I have set it up like that, now when I go back to toolbars here, and even though I closed the levels toolbar, if I choose levels again and say apply and say OK, it's still there with all my customized toolbar controls that I put in here. If I wanted to get rid of one or I wanted to change one, I come back up here, select levels again, hit customize, and then I could, let's say, take the graphic dynamics and just remove it from the choices that I have now on that. Hit apply, OK, and there we go. There's my new menu that's been customized even further and simplified a little bit. So as you can see, there's a lot of flexibility here. You have a lot of choices and a lot of different types of menus that they've kind of already pre-grouped for you from within SoundForge, and then that you can completely customize yourself.